So the same company I worked with to review the Revo K, that handheld Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color type of emulation machine, also sent me something known as the BittBoy. This is a handheld Famicom system. Now there's a lot of cons to this system, like the price tag, but I do want to focus on some of the pluses too. But I do have to talk about quite a lot of the cons. So don't think this review as being some sponsored thing where I'm going to talk nothing but good about it, but at the same time, I'm not trying to destroy this product. This product is interesting because you're basically taking a Famicom and putting it into the size of the palm of your hand and being able to play those Famicom games on the go in that way. It actually has a tiny little LCD screen on it, and it's pretty comparable. The resolution's pretty nice. Even the sound output's pretty good. On the plus side, it definitely does what it's supposed to do. Now, the biggest drawback and negative I have to discuss about this product is that it is a 301 clone console. Now, with consoles like this, I have to say, just put on the games themselves. Why are you putting on a bunch of games under the same name and trying to sell them as different games? Look, if you had literally just told me this was a 30-in-1 console, or even a 10-in-1, and you had really good Famicom games on it, I wouldn't care. This is supposedly the English version, but many of the games don't have the text translated properly, so it ends up coming out as kind of weird, jumbled English put together. It doesn't make sense, but these are very old games, so if you've ever played Mario Bros. 3, you already know what they're pretty much saying, and again, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because gameplay takes precedence over story. With that said, some of the games that are on here are pretty good. Contra is one of the biggest mainstays on here, and it comes with a built-in hack to allow you to visit any level with any weapon, which is, I guess that's pretty cool. It comes with Super Mario Brothers, it comes with Super Mario Brothers 3, but they do skip over some games, you know, like Where's Super Mario Brothers 2, but it also comes with games like Chip and Dale, as well as Double Dragon, 1, 2, and 3, some games like RoboCop, Tiny Toons, Ninja Gaiden, Adventure Island, and these are really, really good games, you know. That's not what I'm saying with this product. I'm not saying that these games are bad. I'm just saying that if whoever made this device put more attention into the details, instead of trying to get as much money as they possibly can by claiming this is a 301, rather putting on saying, look, here's 30 comparable ROMs. This is a pocket Famicom system. You can take it anywhere you want and you can play these games. Now, with the system as it is right now, it is somewhat annoying, but it works. So what you're paying for is basically the good games on here that you might personally enjoy. Like, they have Spider-Man, they have Batman. They've got quite a few games on here that are really, really good ports from the NES Famicom library. And to hold it and to play it in the palm of your hands rather than having to emulate it or hook it up to your TV is quite amazing. It is. The screen resolution being put down to such a small, finite amount. I mean, this is probably 1/3 of my phone's size of the screen, yet it's very, very sharp and it looks really, really nice. Now, I don't know if this is because of the Famicom system itself, but the coloration is slightly off on some of these games. It's not bad, and it's not to a point that will destroy the game, but you will notice it if you're very attuned and accustomed to the way the NES looks. With emulators, you can change that stuff. This is a pocket hand-size Famicom. This does not come with the ability to change a lot of those features. But the point is, does the system actually play the games properly? That's probably the biggest question that needs to be asked. Yes, the games run flawlessly. I mean, so much so that even when you're running in Super Mario Bros. 3, you have that weird line that appears to the left. And in certain games, you'll see that, and that's something that used to happen on the NES. There's a programming code that goes with that, and there's no point in explaining how it works, but basically, it's pretty authentic emulation. This small, tiny board fits in the size of your hand, able to emulate games that once were only able to be put on a television set is quite amazing, and the fact that they made it look like a Game Boy is absolutely astonishing, and it looks really, really nice. It's just a shame that it's so bootleggy and knockoff. Again, it has its pros and cons to the point where it's it's almost breaking even. There are reasons to get this device. They have great games on it, but if you showed it to someone, they would be like, what is that, a knockoff device? But it's not. It is, but it isn't, if you get what I'm saying. So the controller itself and the device itself, I suppose, looks rather strange to the front because it has 4 buttons, but the ones on the top are listed as T. And if anyone knows anything about NES games, that's the turbo button. This will be useful for any games that require you to consistently button mash, which would be Contra. So if you're interested in that, it has turbo support for A and B negatively. The reset button is in the center, which kind of strange, but at the same time, I understand that. The reset button takes you back to the menu. If you turn the device off and on, it would have done the same thing. So I don't think it needed a reset button, but at least it's put in the center where I'm not going to accidentally hit it. There's start and select and a D-pad. Now, the buttons themselves are quite hard plastic. They're not really smoothed off, but it didn't cut my fingers or anything like that. So I would say that I've had way better experiences with controllers and way worse experiences. This is somewhere in the middle of the road. On the side, you have the volume knob, which is just like an old Game Boy. On the front facing right-hand bottom corner of the device itself, you have the sound output, which is quite loud. It does do the job quite well, but that's the only way you're going to be able to hear this device because there is no headphone jack and support like that. You can, however, put this out to a TV. Whether or not you would like to hook this device up to a TV and actually play it blowing up on a TV is up to you. It would naturally be perfectly fine and suited for that, as it was a Famicom at one point in time. So that resolution will conform quite well. You're not taking a very small image and blowing it up. You're just taking the small image that was taken from a big image and making it big again. So it looks perfectly fine, but the connection is one of those kind of auxiliary cord type of deals again. So there's no HDMI or anything like that. This device comes with a rechargeable battery, and on the bottom there's a cord you can plug in and just recharge it via USB. On the back, you can actually open it up and remove the battery itself. So if you're interested in doing that, that's something you can potentially do. And on the top, it looks like there would be a spot for an SD card, but there is no place to put SD cards. I actually put an SD card in this and it got stuck inside of it. So yeah. On the left-hand side of the screen, there's a little bit of an electric symbol like a lightning bolt, and that glows green whenever you have this thing on, but it could have been put up a little bit higher, which would have made it look very similar to a Game Boy again. And on the screen itself, the LCD surrounding the bezel is the BittBoy, which is what it is in fine print lettering. This device would be perfect and ideal for a young kid to take with them somewhere where you wouldn't care if it got stolen. You might care, it's money that you spend, but it's not a $200 to $300 Nintendo Switch or a 3DS or whatever devices that would be very costly, like a cell phone or something. This is just a nice throwaway device. Whoever stole this would be pretty hard up anyways, because it's not the most amazing device in the world. It's just a pocket Famicom. It's really cool, there's no questioning that, and for someone who would take this to like grade school and play this at lunch, people would absolutely love this thing. Kids would love to take turns playing Super Mario Bros. 3 on the screen. The thing is though, there is no built-in save feature. So whatever games you're going to be playing, you're going to be getting the authentic Famicom experience. There were games back in the day that you could not save and you had to play through them all the way without saving. So you need to keep that in mind while you're playing this device or planning to purchase it, or if you just want to try it out for yourself. Now, while it may be expensive in certain areas, I'm quite sure you could find this device for significantly cheaper depending on where you're looking. Whether or not you want it new is really dependent on you. The device itself is really nice. I think it's nice. It's a fun little party device. It's not something you would pick up as a serious gamer and say to yourself, yeah, this is the game system I'm going to be playing 24/7. This is my game system. Again, it would be ideal for maybe someone who's in school, maybe a soldier or something, people who are constantly on the go. Pick it up, you turn it on, it's just like cell phone games. You start up a game, you play it for a couple minutes, and then you cut it off. You get really good and you get further in the games, and maybe one day you want to sit down and play through an entire game, and it might take you 30 to 40 minutes. But it's a fun device nonetheless, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who's wanting to try it out and has some extra cash. But please keep in mind, I don't get a kickback from using this device. I don't get a kickback from showing it here on YouTube, so I don't get paid for promoting this device. It definitely has its cons. I mean, come on, man. It's a 301 device, but it's usable, it's fun. If you pulled this out at a party and showed showed people, they'd probably love it. They'd be like, man, that's so cool looking, you know? It's kind of like a party favor. But at the end of the day, I don't know, it really does depend on you as a person if you would actually like to try this device out or not. I'm just letting you guys know that this cool thing exists and you can feel free to order it at your leisure. So I've been your host, Protomario, and I'm signing out. This was a review of the BittBoy. It's light as a feather, very nice mobile Famicom device. Really, really cool. Definitely try it out if you have the chance.